What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I am getting Metaphor ReFantazio, a game that I've been excited for a very, very long time. I think it's got Game of the Year contender status all over it, where we'll talk about that a little bit in this video. But I do want to say I didn't know about it for as long as this game has been like in the creation stage. You know, I believe that this game has in some way been in the works for like 8 or so years, is something that I saw online. So it's been a long time coming from, again, like that kind of fundamental concept phase to like actually releasing, but I'm very glad that it's actually here. Now, it's coming at a very busy time, but you know what? Because of how good it looks, I'm willing to make an exception and get 2 games actually on the same day. It comes out October 11th, same day as Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Both of those games, Game of the Year contenders, at least in my eyes. But this game looks like everything that I kind of want from it. You know, it's got that Persona-like formula, taking it, kind of changing things up. It's got the classic like UI design, which I think is actually like unbelievably next level. Nobody can come even close to it, and the game just looks awesome. I'm, you know, when it comes to this fall, there's a lot of different types of games. You know, when you get your longer type games, you got a couple. You even got Dragon Age at the end of the month, but you know, if I want to sit down and invest in this like I don't know for sure it's going to be 100+ hours, but I feel like it's probably going to be pretty long. If there's ever a game that I want to sit down and invest that 100+ hours into, it's this game. The story looks awesome. The art design looks awesome. And I'm just excited for a little bit of that Persona formula used somewhere else, you know, used in a different setting, used with different, well, that's always different characters, I suppose, right? But, you know, everything we've seen of this game in that way looks like Persona, looks like kind of the evolution of Persona, and I'm all here for it. One thing that actually really stands out to me, kind of a smaller detail, even like the combat stuff, kind of these changes that you like to see, like them kind of pushing it forward with, you can do more of like a hack and slash type thing with the lower level enemies. You don't have to actually get into the turn-based, you know, back and forth type thing. You can actually just hit them, kind of move on to the next thing. And that's something, again, that's kind of small, but kind of like, okay, well, where can they take these Persona things and move them forward? The conversation systems, like with time, so like when you travel from one place to the next, you're given like, you know, a set amount of days it's going to take to travel, and in that time you kind of get things done. That's where you're going to be hanging out with people, that's where you're going to be talking to people, and then, you know, that takes days off the clock, so you're going to have to do, you know, time management that we're kind of used to doing, but slightly different, because you're kind of going to know, you know, ahead of time. It's seemingly going to be more broken up, where it's like, okay, this is your time where you do this stuff, and it's not that long. Then you go, you do the, you know, combat story stuff, then you go back and forth, and those are things that are just really exciting to me. Honestly, this is almost like a more difficult video to make, because when it comes to the specifics, that's kind of all I got. It's more about the trust in this team, that I think just everything we've seen of the game looks good, and it's the kind of game that I'm ready to play. I've circled this game, like I said, I've been circling this game for a very, very long time. It is a little not great that it comes out the same day as Dragon Ball, so I kind of have to go back and forth, and this is a monster. This is a monster game, and there's other games later in October, like I mentioned, Dragon Age. I have a very good feeling that I won't be done with Metaphor by the time Dragon Age comes, so I'm going to have to balance some very, very big games, but I just have trust. I mean, like Persona 5, Persona 4, I actually haven't played. I was waiting for the Answer DLC to come for Persona 3, never actually played it, so I'm going to do that as well, but I've been a fan for a while, not like the longest time, not compared to some of the diehards, but I would say a little, maybe more than like the new age fan, more than the fans that came in with Persona 5. I've been around a little bit longer, and I just have a lot of respect. I think the way that they do the cast, that's one of the big things that to me makes these games special. The story is always, I think, pretty good, and the combat and you know, the strategy kind of elements involved. Like, I'm a big fan of like all parts to the game. Again, the time management and talking with people, and, you know, kind of doing all these different tasks. But one of the things that mainly stands out to me with Persona 4, with Persona 5, with any of these games, is the cast. You know, you could know next, and I really don't know anything about the cast. You know, I've seen some of the more like breakdown videos, which tend to have been either more on gameplay or story, and the characters are mentioned, but not too in depth. And what you find when you play some of these Persona games, right? You know, you spend so much time with these characters, and anything can happen, especially in a game like this. Like, I really wonder how far they will push, you know, some of the, like, will they have more like intense themes? themes or more intense storylines, like, are they willing to kind of go places that they aren't willing to go with Persona? I think that's possible, but you just realize how good of a cast it is with the writing, just with like the charm of it, right? And that's something that's in my head, that is actually what kind of draws me to Metaphor, where we've had good Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's cast is a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best casts I think put together. Final Fantasy VII just in general, but Remake and Rebirth really did well. There's been a couple good casts in games this year that have been kind of all-stars. This, I think, is going to be an all-star. And this is like, you really don't know a lot. Like, Aerith, Tifa, those like in your head going in, at least somewhat. You don't really know about these characters. And I just feel like over the 50 to 100 hours you're going to put in, I have a lot of trust that they're going to be an all-star cast, that at the end you're going to love them, you're going to not want to leave the world. That's what I found when playing Persona 5. I think I beat it maybe 4.5 years ago. That's the one thing that stuck out, is I don't want to leave for a lot of reasons. I don't want to leave the game for a ton of reasons, but one of which, especially the way they ended Persona 5, like, in the car and all, I didn't want to leave that cast. Like, I loved those characters so much, and they loved each other, that I didn't want to exit that world. And that hurt, like leaving Persona 5, leaving 7 Rebirth, leaving that cast. It's like, you don't find casts that good almost ever. Like, it's really rare. That's what makes those games special, at least to me. So to know or to hope that you're going to get that with this game, like Dragon Age could have that, but there's more like questions. I'm a little bit less optimistic, or I'm less trusting of current age BioWare to have those characters really hit it, because if they do hit it, then that's a 10 out of 10 game as well, right? That could be a really great game. I have more faith in this, that just everything we've seen and just kind of keeping an already next to perfect formula. There's things they can improve. And again, I think from the combat, they're improving where they can. Time management and kind of breaking things up into segments, I think they're doing it. Those are really some of the smaller things that they had to focus on. You don't change the talents of the story. You don't change the talent of the writing and the characters and the combat and the way it looks. Again, like the UI, I don't know how many people talk about UI, but I think people do quite often with Atlas. The UI is just so good. So freaking, I cannot wait to just stare at a screen, because there's so much to look at in any given screen of this game. So yeah, there you go. I mean, the price doesn't matter to me. Date doesn't matter to me for a game like this. This is just a game that, yeah, a lot of it is based off of optimism and hope. But I do think based off everything we've seen so far, there's nothing that scares me. There's nothing that worries me. People have been able to, play it and kind of get like early, which, do you trust them or not? Are they paid off? Or are they not? But, they've said good things as well. There's nothing that I've seen personally that's like, ooh, that's like a major thing. I really believe at the end of the day, this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. And I think both. I really think Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero, same day, I think you're going to get 2 of the top 10 games of the year, I think, just all on October 11th, which is kind of crazy. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.